7. Round of MLU action here at Renton Memorial Stadium, where the San Francisco Dogfish are visiting the home team Seattle Rainmakers, their first matchup of the season together. My name is Dave Bestock, and I'm joined here by
Jake Cooper. We are here on a really beautiful day. It is really more Southern California than Seattle. Nobody's bringing the rain. It's not even windy at all, so the offense is going to probably have their run. Defense doesn't have the weather helping them out today.
Indeed. Though certainly San Francisco has history this season of more turnovers than a lot of the other teams in the league. So we may see which team has less unforced errors. That may be the team that takes the lead early.
That's right. You know, often we see if it's a windy game, if it's a rainy game, these teams are trying to try something new. Today, the weather is not going to put any X factors in this game. The X factor is going to be that these two teams have not seen each other. They haven't played each other all season. They're both on the West Coast. They're, upstream, downstream neighbors, but not yet played, and we're into week 7, I think?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we'll see how these teams match up against each other. One stat I was just reading was that San Francisco has not won on the road since 2013.
Oof.
It is currently 2016. I'm not a mathematician, but it's been a while since they won on the road.
They had a heartbreaker just last night. They came off of a game against Vancouver. Vancouver, who had not won a game this season. The Dogfish, struggling, hadn't won a game since their first game of the season, their very first against Vancouver. Dogfish have been losing many games in a row now. Went up to Vancouver last night, 6 p.m. game, goes into overtime, goes into double overtime,
wow.
And they end up losing by 1. Got to be a heartbreaker for them coming into the game today.
That's hard to rally the morning or they've been warming up since the AM here, getting ready to start a 1 p.m. game. That's hard to rally after a loss like that at night in another city, and especially to Vancouver, who's been really struggling this year, and that was Vancouver's first win.
It was Vancouver's first win, though. So far, both teams have played Portland, the Stags, twice, and neither team has been able to put up much of a fight against Portland, so they're in the same boat there. Both teams have also been doing very well against Vancouver. Last night is the exception where the Dogfish, tied in overtime, and just Vancouver squeaked by in double OT. So against the same teams, they have been placing pretty similarly. It'll be great to see how they fire up against each other.
Portland, of course, dominating the West Coast division of the MLU, and this game a good matchup here to see what team kind of comes in and is going to give Portland a fight in the standings at all. Seattle with a winning record so far, 3-2, 3 wins against Vancouver and 2 losses to Portland. And again, this their first game against San Francisco.
So if we're watching the Dogfish and who is going to bring that win to the Dogfish to break their streak, our player to watch right now at number 25, Daniel Naru. He has so far 2 points every game this season. That is a real rock of consistency for a team that could use some just consistent offense.
Naruo is a threat deep and underneath, versatile cutter. And we're offered the challenge to see if he can provide a spark by coming under and making things happen, not just being a goal scorer for them.
That's exactly right. He finds himself in the end zone with the disc quite a bit, which is obviously a place you want to be. But we'd love to see him be able to open up the field for the rest of the cutters more by coming underneath, clearing that deep space for other people, and maybe getting some more assists or even hockey assists to clear that space and help everyone else become goal scorers themselves.
It makes such a difference when a downfield cutter has the ability to go and catch goals deep, but also has the ability to come underneath, get the disc, and make something happen with it. Not just reset it to a handler, but be able to turn downfield and make that continuation pass while the defense is still struggling after you get that in cut to be able to launch one or even send it 20, 30 yards downfield to a continuation cutter it really helps an offensive team's momentum.
And, one player that's really great at that, Seattle Rainmakers Steve Gusson, number 44. You'll be watching him today, too, I'm sure. He is traditionally a deep but also a handler. He's a little hard to explain. He's a very tall man, very fast, and so defenders don't want to let him get deep. They come deep on him so much that he's really become a hero handler. So far this season, 17 points and 10 assists, which is monster.
We'll see how Steve Gusson has an impact here. Nice Rainmakers pull. Sends the Dogfish into coming out of their own end zone. Centering now to Naruo, who does throw a continuation pass. Jacob Serrano with the catch and a foul. Takes yards. Dogfish here starting on offense. Lassiter. Oh, moves it over to Nate Young, who bobbles it and can't hang on. Henry Fan picks it up for the Rainmakers. Counterattack. Swings it over to Neely. Neely has the most assists on the Rainmakers D team, so throwing breaks. This is a high flick that goes up anybody's ball. Evan Klein comes down with it, had the read on it, and makes the catch for the break over 2 Dogfish defenders. Nice catch by Klein.
Very nice play by Klein. I would have liked to see the throw a little lower and not make Klein the poster child for getting up there.
The high forehand has become a favorite throw by throwers in Ultimate, and it is also favored by the wind. Once you put it up there a little bit, it is very susceptible, and we were talking before the game about how there's not much wind. Now the flag is blowing a little bit, and you saw that one hang up. And those high forehands, unless you just are sweet at them or you got the wind just right, I'm not a big fan.
Not a big fan of the high forehands. That was a poor decision. Unfortunately, the Dogfish turn was just poor execution, and that is something that, maybe the wind is going to be a factor, but right now the offenses are just trying not to beat themselves. When there's no wind, you can throw it where you want to. You should be able to score 70, 80% of the time you're on O.
And the Dogfish have been struggling in terms of their stats, in terms of their completion rates. They've got the lowest completion rate in the league, I believe. Gabe Shanka initiating the offense. Cutters are deep. Of bidding Cam Bailey, who didn't have a chance at that, but still putting in the effort. Swing comes back. Shanka getting every other this point in time here. Has an open cutter on the break side. Xander Max got open, but did not get it. This one sails over. Not the intended receiver, but the Dogfish maintain possession. As Naruo sends one up the middle to 2 different guys. Max gets it. Ben Hubbard with the disc. Hubbard swings it out. That's Colby Chuck with it. Finds Shanka again. No dumps. Everything's upfield. Moves it up to Goldstein. Goldstein back to Shanka. Very patient offense here. They did have the one almost error, but was saved at that point by Naruo. Crossfield flick in the end zone. Always a dangerous one. Toes the line well. That's Hubbard getting himself in the end zone. 1-1 as the Dogfish score.
Nice work by the Dogfish, being patient, and it did look a little strange to have nobody back. There was just Shanka was the bailout, and when he had the disc, nobody was there to help him out. But that stack was so nice and tight in the middle. I mean, really, Ultimate 101, bread and butter kind of stuff. Clear that space, give people lots of room to run onto, and then you saw nothing the Rainmakers could do.
They could have put in a little bit more effort on D. A lot of open guys on the open side there. There was one point in time where Shanka had a wide open guy on the break side, but he didn't even need to throw it over there because there was open guys on the open side.
I think Cam Bailey could have tried a little harder, bid a little further on that first break side throw. That is a joke. He was very far away.
Maybe he's trying to fire himself up, start his own momentum here. He does get a lot of blocks for the Rainmakers.
That is a real thing, Bailey. Is just firing up your team. We're going to try hard. We're going to win this game with our legs.
Pull comes from San Francisco. Clay Dewey Valentine picks up the disc. Dewey Valentine's got the most points played for the Seattle Rainmakers, plays nearly every O point. And looks like contact on the mark. The ref discussing it with the players, and confirming a contact called, and Dewey Valentine will take yards.
Dewey Valentine, a kind of interesting player in that he plays so many points. He is not on the leaderboard for assists, not on the leaderboard for goals, but he's just a very consistent rock, kind of a stalwart of the offense, and moves that disc around. It makes it easier for everyone else on the field.
Very quick, gets open in the handler space. There with a break mark flick to Tridiak. Tridiak, break mark backhand to Hauser. Hauser sees Gusson going deep. Gusson wants it, puts up a hand, says, give it to me, and puts up his hand and gets it. Steve Gusson brings one in for the Rainmakers goal.
That's Gusson, that player to watch, who, again, wherever you're afraid of him, he'll go the other place and take it. If you don't want him to get it underneath because he is a very good handler, you let him get deep on you, and he'll do that. Goal.
Hauser puts it up, hung up there a little bit, but Gusson tracked it well, got up, got the goal. And Hauser's throw, of course, helped by 2 breaks in a row. Breaking it to the other side of the force allows the offense to get more continuation passes, catching the defenders wrong-sided. And that's what happened there.
If you look at the Rainmakers leaders, the number 1 for goals is Brad Hauser with 14 goals coming into this game, and Gusson is 5 with 7 goals. In the assists, the only people that are on both the goals and the assists leaderboard are Gusson and Hauser. You'll see that connection a lot.
Chris Rupp pulls just past half field, and again we see the offense going through Shanka with no real dump support, but open handlers as he moves it over to Shaw. Shaw over to the far side, that's Naruo. Getting in a little bit of a pickle here. Another forehand sails over and an unforced error from the Dogfish as Fan again picks up for the Rainmakers D, now O team, to Rupp, back to Fan. Some sagging handler defense making the upfield pass a little bit more difficult. Chris Rupp open on the sideline. Up the middle to Beener. Some good pressure marks from the Dogfish there. Beener finds Klein. Klein, a little slicing inside-out backhand all the way across to Neely, and Neely puts one into Beener. That's another break for the Seattle Rainmakers.
Nice work by the Rainmakers there to earn their break, but I think the moral of this is we are 4 points in, and I think every point we have had an unforced error by the Dogfish. Every point that the Dogfish have touched the disc. They have thrown something you didn't want to see or bobbled something and dropped it.
Yeah, we've seen now a couple of forehands that have just sailed over their intended receiver. And that one led to a turnover. And the Rainmakers doing a good job maintaining possession and finding their open guys on the counterattack. A nice little break shot from Klein opened up a goal for the Rainmakers D team.
Do you think, Dave, that either team needs to switch up anything? So far we've seen just a plain forehand mark, and downfield we have just seen pretty much a flow standard. I don't think I've seen a play call yet.
We've seen a lot of open cutters, so, I think the cutting and the spacing downfield, what I'd like to see from both teams is just more aggressive defense, challenge those downfield cuts a little bit. I'd also like to see San Francisco bringing some support to their handler set. They've been able to get those swings off, but if the defense tightens up a little bit, and we've seen that a couple times, forcing some of those longer cross-field swings that have gotten out of control for San Francisco, I'd like to see them with a more of an easy reset so that they can maintain possession and not have to throw these throws that are kind of killing them right now.
So maybe unforced but not unpressured errors.
That's right. There's some pressure. There was a couple of good mark points there, but so far it's just execution errors for the most part. The Rainmakers pull from half field and pull it out of bounds. And we've seen that more often than I'd like to, considering that pull from half field is such an advantage. You really want to take advantage of it. There they don't, as Shanka rushes to the brick mark, trying to catch Jesperson off guard.
Not doing so. Jesperson putting on a strong mark.
Little lefty backhand to a Shaw cutting upfield, and Shaw just can't hang on. Another unforced error leading to a turnover. And again, Fan initiates it for the counterattack. Chris Rupp
under the leg break.
Back to Fan. Chris Rupp's guy poaching. There's a flick cross field. El Salam with it. El Salam waits, finds Rupp wide open on the flick side. Khalif El Salam delivers one into Chris Rupp for another Seattle Rainmakers break.
If anybody's keeping track of the score here, which we should be, Rainmakers 4, Dogfish 1, and that is 3 breaks to 0, and we're only 4 minutes into this game, folks.
Not looking good for the Dogfish, who again have not won on the road in years. And Seattle out in front early here in front of their hometown crowd here at Renton Memorial Stadium.
I'm not sure if the Rainmakers are going to change up anything, but I'm really not sure if the Dogfish will change up anything. It's hard to say, hey, let's change something when the problem hasn't been strategy. The problem has been just catches and throws.
The unforced errors are not helping the Dogfish, that is for sure. Cam Bailey winds up the pull for the Rainmakers. And the offense for the Dogfish underway here. Well-guarded cutter, but no one on handler Andrew Riggs.
They've just figured out downfield who's guarding whom.
Disc with Edelman, now Riggs. Upfield to McKeague. See a little float on those. Edelman.
Woo-hoo!
Huge D there by Harrington. But the Rainmakers give it back, and the Dogfish will have another chance to score.
Fine if Harrington can earn that one back. That was incredible.
It was a nice block by Harrington. Now Cloud with it for the Dogfish. Ranahan. Another turnover for the Dogfish.
Getting sloppy on both sides here.
As Edelman was trying to reel that one in from low. Could not. Fan again picking up the disc. Going to Neely. Neely, a lot of assists for the D team for the Rainmakers. Out to Rupp. Rupp to Fan. Fan out in front for Evan Klein. Another Seattle break.
Break number 4, and that is 4 points in a row for the Rainmakers. Dogfish need to, I don't know what. What do they need to do here?
Throws and catches. It's the fundamentals that's killing them. Their throws getting out of control, going over their intended receivers' heads. And we've seen, 2, 3 drops just bouncing out of the receiver's hands. Not a ton of defensive pressure forcing it. Just, I don't know if it's jitters or if they're tired from the late-night game last night. But on the stat sheet, we're seeing that that's not the first time for them. They have a trend of unforced error turnovers.
Though on the stat, we also see that often in Ultimate, if you're losing even in the first quarter, that can really set the tone for the rest of the game. You're demoralized. You feel like this team is better than we are, and so we just can't win. We just can't play. But one thing we've seen from the Dogfish is a lot of effort, a lot of can-do attitude, and it's shown. They score about 2/3 of their points. Sorry, it says here 62% of their points come in the second half.
Second half team will certainly need that, down 5-1 here, 5 minutes in the first. Pineda with it. Give go, gets it back. Finds Goldstein open. Moves it over to Naruo. Open guys in the middle for the Dogfish. Young with it. Stranded a little bit, but finds Goldstein. Goldstein sends it into Shanka, and it bounces off of him. Again, a turnover from the Dogfish with not a whole lot of pressure from the Seattle Rainmakers defense.
There's the Seattle Rainmakers defense starting horizontal stack, looking very deep, and get it off right away with one of those high floaty flicks.
That one really beautifully put out to space for Robin Breen to run onto. Cam Bailey, nice high flick. Breen brings it in for another Seattle Rainmakers break, 6-1 with 4 minutes remaining in the first.
6-1 as the Dogfish come up from San Francisco via Vancouver. Not the typical route, but they're doing this through U.S. Coachways. If you have a team trip or corporate outing coming up, charter a private bus, minibus, or party bus from busrental.com, a U.S. Coachways company. Bus travel is one of the safest, greenest, and most affordable ways to get your group to an event. So if you're going with a group, trust busrental.com and enter coupon code MLUBUS and get additional savings and VIP treatment.
And hopefully the San Francisco Dogfish are not starting the bus yet, but they certainly are down here and will need to rev up in order to come back against the home team, Seattle Rainmakers.
Taking a timeout to reset and say, let's reset the score to 0-0. Obviously, we can try to do that mentally, right? The problem is, even if you come out firing, trading points, you're down 5 points. That's a hard start to a game.
Oftentimes on teams I've played on, in order to overcome maybe a deficit, or even if you're up, playing games to 3 within the larger game, and if you win each game to 3, you're going to be cutting into any deficit that you may be facing. So hopefully San Francisco can find some momentum, not look at the scoreboard, but simply go out and try to win 1 point at a time.
On the other side, that's something that Seattle, we know, does, is play those games to 3, and that can help not get complacent when you're up 6-1 and forget that, hey, there's 3.5 more quarters to go in this game. We got to keep winning those games to 3. Otherwise, we're going to rest on our laurels, not get fired up, not put Cam Bailey's bids out there just hungry for the disc, and you end up watching the Dogfish crawl back into a game because the Rainmakers stopped trying.
The Rainmakers hoping not to let up here, keep the storm a-coming. Of course, they haven't had to play super hard defense because San Francisco giving away gifts in the form of turnovers on offense.
That's extra advantageous for the Rainmakers. The Rainmakers are not exactly the best in the league for forcing break opportunities. They have about 60%. But as far as scoring when they get the disc on defense, they are second in the league. They convert about half of them. Mm-hmm. So if you give the Rainmakers defense the disc, they are dangerous with it. The key is keep it out of their hands, and Dogfish have not been doing that well.
And so far, Seattle Rainmakers have scored their breaks with very few turnovers. Once they do get a turnover from San Francisco, they've been very selfish and have not given it back, and that's why they're up 6-1.
Selfish players out there.
Khalif El-Salam with the pull for the Rainmakers. Dogfish, let's see if they can catch their throws all the way downfield here. Shaw with it, surveying the scene of cutters. Jananis blocked by Gussin. Gussin admits to the foul there. Jananis will retain possession.
Jananis trying to walk a little further than I think the refs wanted him to.
Little vert stack here. Cutter guarded well by Tridiak. That was Naruo. And a throw goes cross-field into the turf. Tridiak picks it up immediately, sends one up to McKibben. McKibben trying to get there over Nate Young. Nate Young says no. Gets the D. Nice D by Young. And the Dogfish will get another chance at it. Again with an unforced error turnover there. Not doing themselves any favors with those turnovers.
You wonder if Tridiak was thinking, we're going to get the disc back, let's play a yardage game, which is really not the attitude I think the coaches would like to see.
Tridiak got wide-eyed, saw friend and teammate Gavin McKibben going downfield with a step. Here goes a throw out in front of Gabe Shonka. Gabe Shonka, nice grab off the turf as his teammates rush to catch up. Shonka throws a push pass high, hoping to find Jananis, and Steve Gussin kept running. David Jananis did not. Turnover at the goal line for the Dogfish. A little lazy there from Shonka with the high push pass.
Shonka got sparkleized to have some fun, but that balloon was popped real quick as Janinas turned to left after Shonka threw a push pass to the right.
Clay Dewey Valentine initiating this time for the Rainmakers. Finds McKibben, swings it out over to Gussin. Gussin winds up and sends one to Khalif El-Salam. El-Salam
Ooh.
Able to reel that in. A little bit of a short pass there. And then Gabe Shonka with a hand block on Danny Tridiak.
Don't see that too often.
And now Naruo to Jananis for the Dogfish. Crossfield flick. Could have been D'd by Isaac Gens. Didn't see it till too late. Now Shonka with it. Again, nearing the goal line. Two cutters go up the line at the same time. Shonka looks off as one of them gets open. Eric Shaw got open in the end zone. This time, Jeninis is found in the end zone, and the Dogfish score another to stop the bleeding. They get their second goal with just under 2 minutes remaining in the first period. A little back and forth on that one. Turnovers by both teams.
Fun point, long volley there. Long volley as you saw both teams get some sparkle eyes. Danny Tridiak shooting one long that was taken out of the air. Intended receiver was McKibben.
Nate
and
Young,
on the other side, you had Dave,
nice D
Gabe
there.
Shanka.
Yeah, lazy high push pass. I always love a good push pass on the goal line, but there was a miscommunication with his receiver, and Steve Gusson was the one who came up with it. Wrong team.
Wrong team there. Props, by the way, to El Salam, who, with Gusson's throw that was a little short and low, wasn't really the floater to run deep onto. El Salam had to do a flat-footed jump, not the easiest thing to turn, plant, and jump straight up, but came down with the disc and kept the movement going pretty smoothly. So Dogfish pull back within 4.
And are set to pull here. Dogfish pull. We'll see if they can bring the defensive pressure. Their D team having to watch as the O team was giving away breaks here for the bulk of this first period. McKibben now with it in the middle. Vert stack finds Hauser on the break side. Hauser in the middle to El Salam. El Salam showing fakes. Clay Dewey Valentine, as we talked about before, a very quick handler. Able to get those resets. Rupp bobbles it, hangs on, finds Hauser. Hauser inside out flick to the break side to McKibben, who quickly flips it up to Khalif El Salam, who brings it in on the sideline for the goal.
That was a great D-bid there. Didn't catch the number from the back, but possibly Devin Williams there. Who really tried on the break side to get that D, very Cam Bailey-esque, just being athletic, trying to stop something, and trying to send a signal to your teammates, let's fire up, let's not give up until the disc is in the end zone and it's called down.
And that was Devin Williams with good D. As it got broken to McKibben, it's very hard to cover ground to that break side, especially with how quickly McKibben was able to catch the break and then turn upfield to continue on that break side, which he did to El Salam. But a nice bid there from Williams from the Dogfish side.
Does show you these tight windows. You know, Williams was making up ground, and the out-of-bounds line's right there. It's a very tight window to throw into, but the Rainmakers have been pretty successful at hitting those windows. Not fantastic, but there's much wider windows that the Dogfish have been missing.
Shanka now initiating for the offense for the Rainmakers. And again, a turnover, a flick swing. We've seen far too many of San Francisco's forehand swings ending up on the turf. Now Chris Rupp, well guarded on the mark there, but finding Klein, who's able to get open, and running through their handler set on the end zone to Fan. Henry Fan, Seattle local. Disc goes through him a lot here on the defensive O-line. Over to Fan now again. Fan, low backhand. Didn't think it was going that way anymore. But Fan sneaks a backhand in.
Slices the no-look backhand to his right.
Finds Dylan Harrington there for the goal. And that's a Rainmakers break.
You see Fan and El Salam celebrating there. One thing I'd love to see from the Dogfish, you know, they were successful at getting the disc trapped onto the near sideline, but not successful at keeping it there.
They allowed the dump swing on the goal line, which is what you want to see when there's not an easy shot into the goal. The Rainmakers sent it through their handler set, got it all the way to the other side of the field, and it's hard to cover that ground, as we've said, on the defensive side, and they're able to find the opening there. Fan finding Harrington.
8-2, Rainmakers up with 37 seconds left in this first quarter, as we will see if the Dogfish can bring the lead a little lower, try to chip away at it, and get ready for the second quarter. Just under 40 seconds remaining with the pull.
And the Dogfish, if nothing else, hoping not to turn over a swing like they have many times this game and give the Rainmakers a chance to score with only seconds remaining in the quarter.
Prevent junky defense by the Rainmakers. Moving
it up well is San Francisco. Young swings it over to Shanka. Shanka sends one too high, and Klein comes down with it with 17 seconds. The Rainmakers will have a chance. Cam Bailey sends a high flick all the way over and across the field, and Luke Jesperson's not going to be able to get there. A little hasty by Cam Bailey.
But with 7 seconds left, it's not going to matter. It was just a yardage game to make sure the disc didn't get in the end zone.
And they'll have one last chance to send one up. As you see there, Jason Edelman tries to put one downfield, but does not make it very far. And the Rainmakers come out of the first period of play, 6-point lead, 8-2, defending their home turf.
Rainmakers got to be happy with their play so far. I think it's been very solid. But, you'd like to be challenged by the other team a little more to be able to test the offense, test the defense, instead of just being handed the disc whenever you make a mistake.
They are certainly getting some gifts from the Dogfish, and thus far have done a pretty good job of capitalizing on that, scoring many of their possessions that they've gotten, that they've earned or not on D, and punching in several breaks. And there you saw they have had a couple of chances to score a break, and they've just gotten a little bit too hasty with it. I think that would be a good challenge for them, is even though they're up 6, really taking their time to ensure that when their D team gets it, they really focus on maintaining possession and trust that their goal will come if they maintain that possession.
Totally. Don't adjust your game based on the assumption that you'll get a gift back from the other team.
And it's good practice, even if the defensive pressure by the O team that's just turned it over is not as great as it might be against a Portland team or another team. You got to practice that discipline in order to win bigger games down the road.
Absolutely. You wonder, the East Coast has, in the 2 crossover games so far, the East Coast has proved themselves stronger than the West Coast. I'm judging this on 2 games. But New York beat Portland, I believe. And I think it was the Rumble? Boy, I forget who came out and faced the Dogfish and beat the Dogfish. And you do wonder if that rising tide of competition raises all boats and makes all these East Coast teams really fired up, and we can't let a team drag another team down. If you're Seattle and you want to play your game, don't adjust it based on the assumptions of your opponent.
And this is the first season that the MLU has done that, the crossover games, East Coast to West Coast. I think it's great for a team like Portland, who has clearly been leading the West Coast, but when faced against an East Coast team is proved outmatched and lost a game, and that's going to light the fire under Portland's team to tighten up their game even more.
That's right, and I do want to point out, actually, that game last week, the Dogfish playing the New York Rumble, in the first quarter, they were down 7-3. Now, they did end up losing the game, but they ended up losing the game 22-19. It was a very close game, and they really did dig themselves out from that first quarter hole.
Yeah, they only scored 6 in the first half and then scored 6 again in the third quarter and then 7 in the fourth quarter. So outscoring themselves 13-6 in the second half. So we'll see if they can stay close enough to have their second half success really challenge the Rainmakers, who so far have pretty easily jumped out in front.
It reminds me a bit of the Nighthawks Rainmakers, I believe, where Nighthawks, they were up in the first half, what was it, 16-6, I believe?
Oh, yeah, that game.
And then in the second half, the Nighthawks, they had lost the game. They're down 10 at the first half. They know they're going to lose, but they fought very well and stayed tied with the Rainmakers for the second half. So I don't know if that's the Nighthawks, kudos to them for raising their game, or if the Rainmakers are really prone to being dragged down into complacency by an early lead.
Certainly we've seen the Rainmakers able to get out in front early, but like you say, Jake, not keeping those screws tight all the way through the game, loosening up a little bit there. You even saw it at the end of the first period of play. Cam Bailey's high forehand. We were cautioning against the high forehands here in the booth, and it's easy to, call it from here in the booth. I wouldn't have done that. I should have done this.
That's right.
But Cam Bailey shouldn't have done that. Here the team's coming back out, taking the field, getting ready to start the second quarter of play. Nice sunny day here in Renton, Washington.
It is perfect weather out here, which, can sometimes be a little extra frustration for a D-line. who for San Francisco hasn't been able to play much because they keep getting scored on, really. They keep getting broken. And so the D-line, chomping at the bit to just get on the field and be able to prove themselves, be able to get the San Francisco back in the game. And when you do get on, there's no rain, there's no wind, there's nothing to help a defensive team out. It's just you against an opponent who gets to run wherever they want, throw it wherever they want, and choose where and when the race happens and how the disc gets there. There's no help from the weather for the defense.
No help from the weather, but San Francisco offense offering some help to the Seattle defense in the form of unforced errors, which we've seen certainly more than the San Francisco coaching staff would want to. Here's a nice pull from Cam Bailey, hanging with well enough time for the Rainmakers to come down on D. Nate Young swinging it over to Eric Shaw, big hammer across the top. Little give-go up the middle for the Dogfish.
Nice work by that offense.
Edelman, nice yardage gainer to Naruo. Finds an open teammate in Eric Shaw. Eric Shaw, hammer across, and Evan Klein with a shadow block creeping in, but not getting there. And the Dogfish, another drop, comes out of the hands of Jacob Serrano. Henry Fan to initiate once again for the defensive team now turned offense.
Those shadow blocks can be really effective. Even if you don't hit the disc, you might distract the player. Oh, here's a hospital pass.
Luke Jesperson's gets a read on it and gets there. Evan Klein sends one a little too high, and then Jesperson puts one a little too low, but Cam Bailey knows what to do with that. Diving catch for the Rainmakers goal.
Picks it up for a break, the Rainmakers. A bit of a circus point, but, if it works, it works. Put another one on the board.
Chalk it up. There, another high floating pass. We didn't see much wind coming into the game, but the wind having some effect now on some floaty passes. We saw a nice hanging pull from Cam Bailey to start that point. And then after Serrano couldn't hang on to Shaw's hammer for the Dogfish, the Rainmakers march it back up. And Luke Jesperson brings it in nicely on the hook and makes his teammate Cam Bailey look good for the goal.
Popping off the ground. Serrano probably distracted by a defender coming in, and it can just block your line of sight is all it takes. That's why that defensive effort can pay off. You don't have to get the disc. You just have to make sure the offense doesn't.
That defense coming in your peripheral vision, it's hard to know. Sometimes you get to worrying if he might get to you, even if not the disc, and sometimes that tentative reaction can cause the drop there. As the Dogfish center from an out-of-bounds Rainmaker pull. Nice pressure on the mark from Jesperson. Sends a backfield pass to Janinis. Swings it over. Nice pressure, but able to hang on is Daniel Naruo. Naruo, very effective cutter. Nice travel upfield. Devin Williams draws contact, though, and takes even more yards.
Williams
and
ends up
the ref says
15 yards from a
too many
4-yard
yards
throw.
The ref's saying he took a few too many here. It's going to reset to Devin Williams.
Resetting exactly where he was before. A little confusion.
Yeah, well. Devin Williams, inside-out flick, finds Nate Young. Young upfield to Naruo. Good pressure there from the Rainmakers. Cross-field attempt shut down there by Christopher Lockhart for the Rainmakers. Neely now with it. Centers to Fan. Fan finds Khalif El Salam. El Salam winds up, sending one all the way down the field to Robin Breen, who gets a late jump on it and will take it at the goal line. Khalif El Salam, who threw the pass to him, actually getting open as Neely on the far side. That's a Rainmakers break, Jake.
One thing I like seeing that Lockhart D was from an invert break.
Yep.
And I've seen a lot of the Dogfish breaks have been inside outs, that throw that's a flick inside, lean out, and throw it real fast and jet it, hopefully past a defender. In that case, not quite past a defender. Whereas I think a more common break, and the one the Rainmakers are using more, is the around. The around where it's more on the thrower to really step out and get around that mark, but then it makes it so much easier for the cutter where that defender isn't anywhere near you.
Credit the pressure to the handler defender who forced that inside-out break attempt. I think he was looking to reset to a dump, and the defense from the Rainmakers was good enough to force him to look back upfield, sending that invert flick into the diving swat of Christopher Lockhart. Cam Bailey now with the pull for the Rainmakers. 7:41 remaining in the second period of play. The Rainmakers lead 10-2. And the Dogfish center to Shaw. Shaw over to Shanka. Not able to find an open cutter downfield, nor a dump, but now Xander Max left open there. Serrano looking for Shanka. Nice D from Robin Breen. Still finds the inside-out backhand to him. Breen bids. Shanka hangs on. Centers now to Shaw. Shaw another inside-out one. Ranahan gets a hand on it. Brings it in. Serrano catches the swing. Launches a backhand up. Klein bids for it. Can't quite get there. And looks like Young bringing it in. I'm sorry, Goldstein brings it in for the Dogfish.
Throw a little high, but it works. And he managed to trick Klein a bit. Klein goes up a little too early as that floats in the wind. Pops over for a goal for the Dogfish. Their first in this quarter and their third in the whole game.
Jacob Serrano there catching the swing and not hesitating, winding up, sending one deep. And though Klein had a good look at it, jumped a little early. And it works for a Dogfish goal who will pull from half field, trying to capitalize on some momentum. Maybe try to get a break here and string a couple together.
That would be their first break of the game. Could use a little energy. Skippy providing some energy here. The official peanut butter of the Seattle Rainmakers, made with the funnest peanuts ever. Skippy Yippee. As the Dogfish pulling from half field, trying to just push the momentum a little bit more towards their side. Remember, the Dogfish have been a second half team, or at least the kind of team that doesn't mind or doesn't get disheartened by those big deficits.
For their sake, we hope not. Janinis trying to talk some motivation into his fellow D players here and pulling from half field. Very high bladey backhand. That looks like it'll land in, which is the point of the half-field pull. Clay Dewey Valentine centering to McKibben in the Rainmakers' own end zone. A nice bid from Janinis there, but Tridiak able to hang on, finds Gussin, and now the Rainmakers off to the races. If Gussin looks up, he'll see he has an open Hauser on the far side. Now guarded. Little give goes between Entz and Gussin, gaining them a lot of yards on the sideline. McKibben open, running downfield, and could have jumped himself in, but ends on the goal line and finds Hauser for the goal. Nice work by the Rainmakers. No let up. Marching downfield.
No let up, but I think it was a great play by Janinis, who really took a chance, went for the Callahan, diving to break that up right away. And, if you miss it, and the other team is really aware like the Rainmakers are, you miss it, you've got one person out of place in his zone, and it's just off to the races. They get 60 yards before you can catch up. But nice. I think it was a good shot to take.
I agree. I like Janinis. The whole crowd went, oh, because he almost got there, bidding on the swing pass to Tridiak. But Tridiak able to put it up to a two-man game between Gussin and Entz. And then the rest of the Rainmakers getting downfield well in order to keep that momentum going all the way into the end zone. McKibben open up the line, finding Hauser in the house.
And now Seattle is going to take their turn at a half-field pull, as it looks like Neely's got the disc, and he's playing field general, pointing to his folks dressed in the blue and green of Canterbury, the performance apparel partner of Major League Ultimate. Visit www.canterburyus.com today, the destination for your team's custom uniforms. Canterbury, committed to Ultimate.
Neely with a bladey flick, this time making sure they don't pull it out of bounds. Could have been a little bit more ambitious with that pull, but now the Rainmakers pressure is on here. Oh, wow. Just a miscue. Nate Young tries to find Thomas Panetta. Panetta can't hang on. A little windy, but they're in the breadbasket. Should have been a catch.
Should have been a catch, and instead gave it away. So now there's a red zone drill by Seattle. Can they put it in?
Todd Sleva, high backhand inside, finds Chris Rupp for the goal.
That brings it to 12-3. This is turning into a bit of a slaughter here.
We'll see if the Dogfish can maintain their poise here, jogging back to the line. The Rainmakers making it rain down on the Dogfish. Dogfish not finding their swimming legs here.
Dogfish have received 12 pulls. They have scored 3 of them. Rainmakers have scored 9.
That is hard.
That is rough.
And there we saw again, it was not a block by Seattle, but just a turnover by the Dogfish. Simple swing pass. Yes, it's a little windy, but if it comes where you're able to catch it with 2 hands, you ought to be able to hang on. And there we saw Panetta
Rainmakers
not able to.
Caught 3 pulls and scored all 3 times.
Dogfish trying to find their offensive flow. Hubbard upfield. Cloud moves it over to Young. Young back to Cloud. Cloud out to Gabe Shanka. Nice coverage. Shanka trying to create an opening to Andrew Goldstein and puts it too far out in front and too Blady. Goldstein can't get there. Nice recognition by Gabe Shanka there that Goldstein had steps, but then the throw went just too far.
But also that's what you get. That's what you're forcing when you play good man defense. There is a window that the offense can throw into. You're just trying to make that window small and hard to hit.
El Salam, floaty swing out to Chris Rupp as the Rainmakers D team looks to get yet another break. Some iffy cutting downfield, but no great defensive pressure stopping Klein. Klein gets it, winds up, throws it downfield, blocked there by the long arms of Ben Hubbard. Nice D by Hubbard, shutting down what could have been a break shot for the Rainmakers. And the Dogfish will attempt again to score.
We were chatting when we were watching teams warm up that Hubbard just looks like a beast out there. He is a big guy, but somehow he's playing, and just when he reaches his arms out, when he goes up for a disc, he plays even taller than he is.
Goldstein takes off, open deep. Gabe able to get steps on Rupp and score for the Dogfish. A needed goal there for the San Francisco Dogfish with under 5 minutes remaining in the second period. They now trail by 8.
And I'm trying to look through the Dogfish. Their worst quarter was the very second quarter of the first game of the year, where they only scored 1 point, but the Nighthawks only scored 3. I don't know. I'm guessing it was a very windy or very rainy game where the entire quarter only 4 points were scored. Here, this first quarter, they scored 2 points. The second quarter, there's still 4.5 minutes left, but again, only 2 points. Dogfish might just be tired from coming off of a long game and a hard loss last night.
In only one of the Dogfish's games have they outscored themselves in the first half. All the other games, they've done much better in the second half of play. So if they can sneak a couple more in here this first half and bring their usual second half strength, there's a chance they can turn this into a game. But right now, getting severely outscored here by Seattle with a pull that only goes just up to half field. Clay Dewey Valentine with an open Gavin McKibben turns up, finds Peter Ostergaard upfield. Ostergaard finds Gusson. Clay Dewey Valentine, a little jump step to get open for the break. Nice defensive pressure here from the Dogfish. Dewey Valentine having to send a Blady one into Tridiak, who sends a lofty one across field. Whoa, wow, great bid there by Devin Williams, but Evan Klein, hanging on for the Rainmakers break.
Well, Williams, once again, an athlete and a gentleman, as he makes a solid bid. Feels a little bad for the hit.
That was Sleva. I'm sorry. It looked like Klein. I thought it was Klein. It was Sleva brings that in over Williams. Todd Sleva with the goal.
And Williams immediately going over to Sleva, helping him off the ground, saying, I'm really sorry I was going for the disc. I did not mean to come into you.
Another good bid there by Williams. Todd Sleva hanging on for the Rainmakers goal.
Williams, of course, a defensive player for the Dogfish. Not only is he probably just excited to be out on the field and try to get his team back in it, but a little more rested than some of the offensive players.
The offense struggling for San Francisco. Some familiar faces out there, though. Keeping that same offensive rotation, hoping to claw their way back in. Shark tooth by shark tooth here. Shaw with it. Wow. Finds an open Young upfield, but sends it a little high for Young, who tries to two-hand it above his head and drops it. Henry Fan will initiate the defensive offense for the Rainmakers. A dump to Chris Rupp. Slow to start this counterattack are the Rainmakers. A little low. Rupp sends it to Fan. Fan scoops it up nicely. Little give-go with Bailey.
Nobody on Fan right now.
Fan finds Neely. El Salam spreads his wings, says, I'm open. Gets it. Inside out shot. Tough window to find. Cam Bailey pulls it through the window, does a little dance. Rainmakers goal.
Now, one thing I like to see from Fan there, besides that diving lefty scoop for the save, is he has nobody on him and he doesn't take it and immediately throw it and run upfield, which is a temptation a lot of people have. They think, I'm unguarded, get the disc out of my hands and let me go catch it. But instead he recognizes, I'm unguarded. Hey, there's an extra player out there who's not guarding somebody. Let me make sure I see who it is and where they are before I throw this. I don't want to throw it into the player.
No one guarding him. He had plenty of time to make that decision. Made a good one. Found Neely. Neely found El Salam. El Salam, tight window shot to Cam Bailey. It was a tight window, but it was a tight catch. 3:24 remaining in the second period of play. The Rainmakers lead by 10, 14-4.
If anybody's keeping track of the break count, you can check me on this. I think the Rainmakers have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 breaks. The Dogfish, 0.
That's a lot of breaks.
That would be a lot of breaks for 2 games.
McKibben, Blady backhand. That's the kind of pull you want to see on a half-field pull. It bounces once inbounds and then out the back. And the Rainmakers here looking to pressure the Dogfish in their own end zone. Wow. And so they do. An inside-out backhand by Janinis does not find the intended receiver. Seemed a little hasty to me. And now Klein will take it on the goal line for the Rainmakers. Chris Rupp, looks to get yards. Klein immediately looking to the ref. Thought he got fouled. The ref agrees.
He certainly got fouled. The disc was still in his hand when the defensive hand went on it.
A lot of cutting downfield. Backhand gets away from Rupp. Rupp finds it, brings it in, and sends it back to Klein. Good defensive pressure here by San Francisco. No easy shot so far. Klein finds Jesperson up the middle. Gut shot. Janinis not guarding him close enough following his turnover. And Jesperson brings it in for the goal.
That is break number 11. And you do see sometimes it can be hard when you're actually right on the line and all 12 other people on the field are in front of you, the 6 offense, 6 defense. It can make kind of a crowded end zone. And so you saw there isn't that uncommon where the disc movement ends up bringing the disc a little back out of the end zone, give yourself a little more room, and then you can fire it in and find those open spaces.
And wise to take those early resets, not get into too much trouble with the stall count on the goal line. As there you saw the Rainmakers send a couple dump shots to maintain possession until they found the opening. A gut shot to Jesperson. I would have liked to see a little bit more disciplined cutting on the end zone offense from the Rainmakers. A lot of cuts all at the same time, which is part of why they went back through the handler set. Yeah. You really want to isolate those cuts and put the offensive advantage to use in terms of the cutter driving where they're going.
And you've got a lot of time to make a play. You could even just have the person with the disc yell. Just spend 3 seconds saying, hey, everyone back up. I want to see so-and-so isolated.
Wow. Naruo, nice grab to maintain possession there. There's a flick almost off the mark. Little give-go. Nice work from the Dogfish. Swinging it through their handlers now. Floaty, too floaty. Another turnover by the Dogfish. Fan initiates the counterattack again for the Rainmakers. Chris Rupp finds Klein. Klein finds Fan. Not a lot of defense seen out here. Fan sends one deep. Oh, a bidding Dylan Harrington almost bringing it in there for the Rainmakers, but not quite.
Got a hand on it. Disappointed that he wasn't able to close that hand around the disc. It bounced out and gives the Dogfish a chance with 1:45 left in the half.
Gabe Shonka, normally a handler, takes off deep, tries to bid the backhanded grab downfield, can't get there. Pretty good shot. I thought Shonka could have taken another step or two and actually brought that one in, but an exciting bid as Fan looks to initiate here. Lefty backhand back to Rupp. Rupp fires it back to Fan. Cam Bailey open downfield, gets it. Klein takes off. Fan will send it to him. And Klein D'd by his own teammate there as Christopher Lockhart tried to come over the top and gets a hand on it, but not around it.
If Drew Lockhart were playing D, that would have been a spectacular play. Unfortunately, he was one of the intended receivers.
Another deep shot here by the Dogfish, and this layout grab is good as Colby Chuck finds it and finds a receiver in his teammate there. Defense was shading off of Liam Rosen, and Rosen with the goal for the Dogfish.
That is 3 goals for the Dogfish this quarter, which is their, current record against the Rainmakers.
Well, the first time that they've matched up against the Rainmakers this season, but yes, only two in the first quarter.
A technicality.
They'll be looking to improve each quarter here in order to have a chance at this game, with the Rainmakers leading 15-5 with under 40 seconds remaining in the half.
You know, it might be too early to say this, but I don't know if the Dogfish are thinking, let's win this game. I wonder if they're thinking, hey, let's win something for ourselves so that we can go into our next game not feeling like this.
If I were the Dogfish, I'd be thinking, stop turning it over, stop turning it over, stop turning it over, which is a tough mantra because you want to have that confidence, that positive thinking, but they've just been facing so many turnovers. There may be some nerves about making mistakes, and that will only lead to more mistakes. Sure. I'm no psychologist, but I play one on the radio.
No, you're not. Rainmakers with 15 points in a half, which I do imagine, we can ask psychologist Bestock here, how that affects your gameplay as you're sitting there thinking, we're up 15-5, whatever we do is fine, it doesn't matter, we can throw some silly stuff. And I wonder if that confidence should lead to try some different offenses, try some different defenses, try people in different areas. See how El Salam works as a mid. See how Drew Lockhart works on offense. Instead of, let's see how this throw works.
Rainmakers have been doing a good job of keeping possession. Khalif El Salam with the catch, toes the line, finds McKibben streaking up. McKibben, first touchdown outside of the end zone. El Salam sneaks up right by him, and a little shot to El Salam for the goal with only 11 seconds remaining. Nice little flipping pass by McKibben to El Salam.
Very tight window, almost a hand back to a running back. But he just lets go. Salam able to catch it with a little jump, put it in the end zone.
Nice offense there by the Rainmakers. And they'll try to force a turnover and get one in here for a last-second break in this half. The Dogfish will look to get maybe a throw or two off and then probably launch one down into the end zone. I'm surprised we're not seeing their big man Ben Hubbard out there to be a target.
One thing I'm thrilled to be seeing from the Dogfish is Devin Williams out there. He is one of the D-line players. He is, tied for the most points played on D-line. He is not even on the O-line points played list. I mean, he is a D player. You've seen him making bids left and right. No surprise he's a D-line stalwart. But here he is on the O-line because, hey, he's playing well. He's fired up. Let's give him a shot.
Hopefully his athleticism may give them a chance at this one. With time ticking down under 10 seconds, surveying the field here. You want to launch one up sooner than later. Triple team now out to Shaw. Shaw's going to need to send one up. There goes a flick. El Salam getting a read on it, but it is hanging up there. El Salam jumps too early, but the big hands of Isaac Entz swat it down to shut it down. And the Rainmakers carry an 11-point lead into halftime, 16-5 over the San Francisco Dogfish.
16-5 going into the second half, as we will see you back on the other side.
Goldstein again. Nice throw. Very nice. Oh, great catch.
Wow. That could be the MLU offensive catch of the week.
Nice catch by Young.
Elevates skies for that one over Davis Whitehead. This one is close. It's called for Callahan.
Wow. That was an incredibly impressive play. A great
Sean
read.
Doherty.
So he didn't even necessarily know that pass was going up, but committed to it before it happened. And the offensive player was not ready. This is what happens when we consistently put offenses to the test from their own end zone, is Callahan opportunities happen.
Murphy, and then he miscommunicates with Banerjee and throws it away.
Meta's going to the house.
Bear putting it to him. Meta, Wynn holds it enough for him, and he catches up to it. What a run by Himalaya Meta again.
This is an excellent way to take off right after you get that block. Goes downfield immediately to give an option. And then Dave Bayer delivers the pass. This is one of the harder passes in Ultimate when you know it has to be thrown now.
Some impressive running ability. And
there's
now
the result.
You can see the, the price he pays.
I thought Taylor Casino might actually have a shot at that. Now Taylor's, see how he's overcommitting. There we are. That was good defense on Taylor's part. Wow.
Good box out.
Great box out, but you got to value a little bit too. You can't just start jacking it without any consideration for. Wow. Ooh, he makes up for it.
Woo.
That was his turnover. Oh, and he's going to go.
He's going.
Yeah, but last year can definitely
reward him.
pump it. That's going to work. Very nice.
Wow.
Shane Tracy tries a forehand. Oh, nice D by Pineda. Nice
And
run
there
through
goes
D.
Pineda going.
Very nice put by Casino. Let's see if he can box this
Hangs
shorter
up
man.
a little
Wow,
bit.
look at that thing bounce.
Whoa.
Oh, great catch. Don't. Wow. Oh, nice catch. Probably going to go into man here any second. Oh. Fisk is going to get a chance at this. Wow, nice catch.
Whoa.
Great catch by number
McGlynn.
84, McGlynn. Great catch. They're in a trail position against their dump offensive counterparts consistently. Oh, nice catch.
Yes, shoestring.
They're accustomed to playing horizontal. Very nice. Nice crossfield throw from. Very nice.
Almost a Callahan.
Very nice. It's kind of a little, not exactly a dominator, but oh wow, a nice fist. Back-to-back Ds by Fisk.
And there they go. This one's going to hang up. Oh,
Good chance at it. Great catch. Backhand.
There goes Mott. wow.
Nice adjustment. Oh, and these guys.
These are.
I mean, this is what we're talking about. Nice
Wow.
rip, number 41. Oh, wow. Oh,
ouch.
that's a dangerous play.
Yeah.
Pineda. Oh, great D by Pineda.
Wow.
Edelman slipped. He's in decent. And there's that backhand. Oh, great catch.
Yeah, he was in.
It just looks kind of scattered, you know. They got it. Wow. Nice D.
Sonka getting
Lots of open
physical.
people. Oh, nice throw. Wow. Nice catch by Fisk. There's Goldstein again. Nice throw. Very nice. Oh, great catch.
Wow. That could be the MLU offensive catch of the week.
Nice catch by Young. If they can punch that in with 3:30 remaining and be within 4. Oh, wow. The double team's been giving a lot of trouble.
Ooh.
Nice.
Perfect throw.
Looks like they've got Fisk ISO'd in the front of the stack. Whoa, very nice. Wow.
Yee.
They'll be in a very good way to start.
And immediately the defense played by Sickles on the man we were just talking about, Jack Hatchett. No mark on McNaughton. Westbrook running in. This will float, and Westbrook gets tied up, and it's taken away. McCutcheon doing a lot of running as they put this pass to him, and Jay Clark knocks it down. Bryant will uncork one. Goes off of McNaughton's hand. Meda elevates, skies for that one over Davis Whitehead. This one is close. It's called for a Callahan!
That was an incredibly impressive play. A great
Sean
read.
Doherty.
So he didn't even necessarily know that that pass was going up, but committed to it before it happened. And their offensive player was not ready. This is what happens when we consistently put offenses to the test from their own end zone, is Callahan opportunities happen.
Now they do. Here it is for the end of the quarter. Ben Katz against 2 spinners. It's tipped up and out. Picked up by Brandolph, trying to get around Hooker. Have not seen much of. This is a chance for a block. Oh, coming out of nowhere is Glazer. Philadelphia with a chance for another break. Bryant, he's been the one doing it for him today. Layout bid, not there for Boston's defense. And Peck, the man who started it with the pull.
They are putting pressure on the Philly offense here.
Hooker trying to trap Brandolph. It floats, and Hooker skies up to get the catch D. Comes over to match up with Sickles, who finds Himalaya Meda. Meda puts it up for Glazer. Richardson trying to come on, lays out, but Glazer too much to handle. 3 straight holds here for each team as Inselman sends this deep. And on cue, 1:25 left to go. Philadelphia is a team that definitely can milk the clock, but not that time as Westbrook lays out and knocks it away from Esser. Jake Taylor looking towards the end zone for Little, and again,
This time it was
it's
Colton.
Colton.
Yeah.
Westbrook airs it out, looking for Clark in the end zone. Esser there, and Esser gets over and knocks it away. Doherty's got a man coming towards the end zone. It's Hatchett. He floats it up. 2 Boston defenders coming in on Sickles, and he just goes over everybody.
Boston's using an interesting defensive look there, poaching to start and then trying to get
Himalaya
into man.
Meda wide open and hangs on to it all the way through.
But they
no
never-
one was within a mile. Bryce Dunn floats this one up, and Hulkyard skies over Arcata to Panna. Stevens covering him. Panna the low throw.
Yikes.
Oh, wow, what a catch. Bounced off of Radums and into Bears' hands. 8 seconds, they've got to make a move. Banerjee's got it, sends a hammer across to everybody, and Jack Hatchett
That's a
comes
beautiful.
down with it.
That's a beautiful, beautiful scoober. Boston's patience here has paid off.
Hooker trying to direct traffic. Gets us scoober over everybody to Terry Roth. Terry Roth. And Doherty's able to jump backwards. Edmonds. Oh, right through the hands of Thompson. And Inselman tiptoeing the sideline. Dragged the foot beautifully and throws it away.
Meda's going to the house.
Bear putting it to him. Meda Wynn holds it enough for him, and he catches up to it. What a run by Himalaya Meda again.
It's good to find those paths through there, but once they get the leverage again, we've talked about this with our zone defenses, you have to maintain it.
Over to the near wing, looking for Jordan Taylor. It's tipped up and right into Eric Stevens' hands. He's short of the goal line. and then he throws it in. Jay Clark was headed deep downfield. Thompson reels it in, and a great layout bid from Esser. They're getting injured earlier.
Kitrosh Snell is providing some options in the end zone, but
And another D.
it's Martin.
He's got to look for the end zone. Kitrosh Snell wide open, and he's got it. We are tied. Tied at 19 with 3.2 left to go.
Was trying not to say anything quite wrong there. That's a fantastic bid coming across to deny the
Energy.
Scoober.
Davis Whitehead just has to make one more throw, but it's D'd up.
The open players were far away from the thrower, across the field, or all the way in the back of the end zone.
Inselman took his time to pick up that disc, as it's kind of been a wild play. Then throws a flick across the field to Thompson. Phenomenal throw by Jared Inselman.
That throw, it is difficult for me to put into words how incredible that throw is. It sat all the way to the far side of the field. He's kind of throwing across the wind here, and it just sits so perfectly into the receiver's area. I'm not even sure the receiver knew he was cutting for that throw, but it's the inside, it's the outside-in break for the flick to the inside-outside of the field.
I was ready to call that inside out, but if you look at
Precisely
it, it's kind
not.
of an outside in.
It's exactly what it is.
The team dynamic is just to have as much fun as possible.
It's an experience, man. You turn around and you look and there's this big giant animal running towards you.
When I first started commentating, it was kind of tough for me because it's like, well, I can be out there too. I can play with these guys. Why am I up here in the booth?
Jeff Grant he's a freaking monster. He can sort of just do it all, you know?
A few of my students were like, we saw you on the bus. I was like, I don't ride the bus. No, you were on the side of the bus.
That was an incredible game to watch.
It was a huge loss.
I just decided to launch and try to get it.
I knew if I went up early enough, I could get it.
And all of a sudden, there are feet kind of above heads.
Does it all come back to this loss? Does it all come back to this play?
If I had four hands, I would put all four hands on the ball.
It was up the O-line. They had to deliver.
Boston kept doing this thing that you didn't think was possible.
4,
3,
2. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for tuning in and welcome back. Just getting ready to go here in the second half of play. The Rainmakers of Seattle hosting the San Francisco Dogfish, hosting and mosting.
Hosting is one way to put it. Rainmakers are up 16-5. Dogfish struggling to find their legs, and I mean that kind of literally. They came off of a very long double overtime heartbreaker loss to Vancouver last night. Took a bus down here, got in about 1 in the morning, woke up, and despite a 1 p.m. game start here, they came out looking groggy and chat on the field beforehand, being on the sidelines, chatting with folks, is that, they just didn't get a lot of sleep. They were talking a lot about last game, and I don't think they really had their eyes on this game, and it's showing.
A lot of unforced error turnovers, as we've been talking about throughout the broadcast here by San Francisco. A lot of throws getting up and over the intended receiver and floating into the turf, and quite a number of drops as well. Passes that should easily be caught but are not, and that's an issue of some focus and maybe some fatigue, like you say, Jake.
Focus and fatigue often going, hand in hand. You're fatigued and you get unfocused. The Seattle Rainmakers, on the other hand, looking pretty solid, playing around. You see people on the field right now doing handstands, doing cartwheels. They look like they're well rested. They're at home. They slept in their homes last night, and they came out ready to play.
No great defensive pressure from either team. The story of the game, the unforced errors from San Francisco. Seattle doing a pretty good job of capitalizing on those errors and turning them into breaks.
I'm going to disagree there, Dave Bestock, because you said no great defensive effort by either team. Okay, as a team as a whole, we have not seen the level of defense we'd love to see. But there have been standout players, and the one I'd really love to point out is Devin Williams, who has every point he's been on, seemed to make a real effort, a real bids at the disc and chomping to get that disc. He has shown a lot of heart in this game.
He has. I don't know that he's come down with a block, but certainly has put in the effort, and San Francisco could clue off of that energy from Devin Williams to get themselves going in this second half. They are traditionally a second-half team, and they'll need all the help they can get down 11 starting here in the third period of play. The thing about halftime, it could go the other way completely because it's only you have the same amount of time that you've had to get scored on. 16. You could score 16 as well. So far, from what we've seen here, I would say that's unlikely, but certainly possible.
I think unlikely is a kind way of putting it. You did mention, and I think you're right, that Williams has not actually converted any of those bids into a block. And it's always, you're a little skeptical when you see a player who every time the player bids, they either get the block or they catch the disc. You start thinking, you're not extending yourself enough. Sometimes you got to bid even if you're not sure you're going to get it. If you're only bidding when you know you're going to get it, you're not bidding enough. But you would love to see some of those attempts be converted into blocks.
It'd be fun to see Devin Williams on Cam Bailey, both of those guys aggressive, getting after it.
Chasing that Innova disc. Innova is proud to support Major League Ultimate and its incredible athletes as the official disc of the MLU. The Innova Pulsar has quickly become the disc of choice at Ultimate's highest levels. Visit innovadiscs.com to find a dealer near you.
I will. 10 minutes on the clock as we get set to start the third period of play. Cam Bailey set to pull for the Seattle Rainmakers. Pull goes up, and we're underway here. Nice pull all the way down into the end zone of the Dogfish, centering now to Shaw. Shaw moves it over to David Janinis. Janinis all the way out to Ben Hubbard. Ben Hubbard. Flick to Janinis. Now out to Young. Jesperson. A little gratuitous bid there, but again, you want that energy. Now Shaw winds up, sends one into two sets of offense and defense there, but again, just sailing over the intended receiver.
As Matt Neely able to actually punch that a bit. It looked like everyone went up a bit early, but Matt Neely able to just pop the very middle inside of the disc, and it pops it over all intended future possible receivers.
Neely now drops it off to Fan. Fan puts it up high to Chris Rupp. Chris Rupp reads it well, better than Nate Young, who could have had a shot at that one. Now the disc in the hands of Harrington. Harrington in the middle to Cam Bailey. Bailey to Fan. Fan, high one to Klein. Klein brings it in and launches one up to Jesperson. Chasing is Hubbard. Jesperson gets his hands on it, but Hubbard may have gotten a piece as well, and it leaves the hands of Jesperson and hits the turf. Nice pressure there and good catching up by Ben Hubbard.
Hubbard with a very nice move. That's a hard disc to find as it's floating directly above your head, but he seemed to jump straight up and just pop it from in between the hands of Jesperson and pops it just far enough to get the disc back in Dogfish hands.
And that throw helping out a little too floaty there from the Rainmakers, as the Dogfish now looking to bring some discipline to their offense here. Rosen back to Janinis. Oh, Klein gets a hand out in front. Eric Shaw did not go back to the disc, and Klein easily getting the block there.
Didn't even have to bid, just puts his right hand out and stops it, runs right through.
Little two-man game now. Fan and Rupp. Fan with a break shot out in front to Neely. Neely, nice grab. Diving to maintain possession just outside the goal line. Back to Fan. Good discipline stack now. Finds an open Harrington for the goal. Rainmakers draw first blood here in the third period of play and extend their lead 17-5.
Rainmakers starting off this second half, how they have played most of the first half with a break.
A lot of breaks.
2 minutes and 18 seconds passed in a single point. I don't think either team has got to be thrilled with that offensively, but maybe the defenses are happy to have that point drag on.
Couple of turnovers extending the length of that point, and it's always feels like a victory when those points go back and forth, multiple turnovers. When you're able to score them, that can be a big momentum help. And the Dogfish needing all the help they can get, not getting it there.
Frustrating for those back and forth points when you realize you were the offensive team. You were the one who was supposed to score, and at the end it turns out it was a break.
A lot of those realizations this game for the Dogfish. Gabe Shanka initiating the offense for San Francisco. And wide open, Goldstein. Now Fan finds him. Goldstein back to Shanka. And we've seen so many of these forehands jumping in the wind, but these ones able to get there and then a little too far inside, and Xander Max can't hang on. Looking to the refs for a call. No call comes. Oh,
no,
it does.
Indeed.
It does.
No, that was Lockhart, Drew Lockhart, telling the refs, I got his legs when I dived past by accident, and actually telling the refs, call that as a foul. That's on me.
Good integrity and sportsmanship from Lockhart. And everybody regains their footing here. Xander Max with the disc to initiate the offense for the Dogfish. Sends one up to Daniel Naruo. Naruo, shot, finds the window, finds the gap, and finds Andrew Goldstein for the goal amidst three chasing Seattle players. Nice find there. Goldstein with a goal for San Francisco.
That's a Goldstein. Flying it through a very tight window, but makes it look like it's a wide open window. Easy.
It was indeed a nice shot there by Naruo. Naruo showing why he's a threat, able to get open often for San Francisco, and there sending a nice shot up the line.
Loved what you saw there from Lockhart, who bid. Looks like the officials didn't see that on the bid his legs came out and clipped the legs of the receiver, which is what caused the drop. Lets the officials know, because obviously he's fired up to get the disc to play defense, but he wants to get it the right way. He doesn't want to just be given the disc because the officials weren't looking. It's not that kind of game.
It is not that kind of game. Ultimate so long rooted in self-officiation. Of course, here in the pros, we've got the referees, but the players have the ability to make those calls, and there, Lockhart admitting his own foul and allowing the Dogfish to retain possession and score another. their pull now going out of bounds, and Tridiak will initiate for Seattle's offense. A vertical stack. If it were me, I'd split the last two guys and send Entz deep, and that's what they do. And Tridiak sends it out there. Entz only with one step, but able to get in. Super late jump. That's not going to count. Entz on the goal line here. Puts one up to Gusson, whose jump gets him in the goal. Steve Gusson with a fancy footwork move to get the offensive score for the Rainmakers.
Well, I think the player of that point was you, Dave, for calling that play call. One of the few times we've actually seen a play call off a stop disc or off a pull in this game where you have a setup that even the defense might know, oh, there's a play going on, but if they don't know what the play is, it can still work. Even if they do know what the play is, it was kind of obvious there. You got a 6'6" deep threat, third from the back. It's going to be that reverse zipper, split the back, send Entz deep, and it works.
It does indeed. Entz got a step. Tridiak only needs a step from his receiver to send one up. Entz gets it on the goal line and then flips it in to Gusson for the goal.
Able to toe that line with his .6 socks. .6, the official sock sponsor, Major League Ultimate. Check out www.point6.com for their full line of performance merino wool socks.
Rainmakers pull. Here's Cam Bailey with the windup and the pull. It takes to the wind and may end up out of bounds on the far sideline. And does indeed.
May end up out of bounds. It went past the track and hit the fence on the far sideline, about 25 yards out. But
little
that's
breezy.
all right.
Little breezy. Makes it not as easy. San Francisco setting up in a horizontal stack. Getting pretty much entirely backed. None of the Seattle players are in front of their cutters, and yet they run it through the handlers anyway. Cloud with it. Cloud put. Whoa. Wow. Great D there by Todd Sleva, sneaking around and getting in front of Rosen. Nice D by Sleva. Oh, a nice bid there by Edelman, but Chris Rupp hangs on. And they try to find their rhythm here. Rupp finds Fan.
I like seeing the energy that the defense is starting to bring to this game on both sides.
Sleva, who got that D, going by Rosen. Rosen puts a little pressure, a little too much pressure on the mark. A little contact there on Sleva. Sleva will get the disc back and take yards. Rosen may be feeling that frustration after Sleva snuck by him for the D on the other side of that matchup, putting a little body on Sleva there. Sleva working hard, gets open again. Flick in the middle, Cam Bailey. Bailey double-teamed. High flick out to Fan. Fan, plenty of time to survey the field, finds Robin Breen open out the back of the stack. Breen winds up a flick and puts it to Sleva. Sleva bookends, gets the D, gets the goal. Todd Sleva with some stats for Seattle's Rainmakers as they get yet another break.
Sleva earning the bookends there, not right away, but he manages to pull off that D. Then there's two more turns and ends up with the goal as well.
And the Rainmakers continuing to pour it on here, 19-6 with 5:27 remaining in the third period of play. They would be pretty content here to trade out points, or maybe not. They got another break.
So here's the Dogfish offense taking the field. Dogfish offense just hoping to convert something. They have scored 6 times. All 6 of those were offensive scores. No help from the defense, though they haven't been able to get the defense on the field that much. But this the Dogfish offense also been broken. Oh, man, I can't even count the number of Bs anymore. It's a ton. It's maybe 12, 13 times.
That's a lot of breaks.
Got to be able to put the disc in when it's yours, get the D back on the field, and allow the defense to just try, get a break, get 2 breaks, get some stats on that field.
Nice pull by Bailey just in front of the San Francisco end zone. Gabe Shunka delivers to Hubbard. Hubbard winds up, doesn't throw it. Finds instead in the middle, that's Naruo. Over to Shunka. Shunka in a little tight window there. Gets it to Riggs. Riggs, nice find there to Janinis. Swings it over to Ranahan. Ranahan to Naruo. Back to Ranahan. Nice aggressive cutting there by San Francisco. Hubbard finds Naruo on their goal line. Finds Janinis back. Janinis puts it out to space to Shaw. Shaw, tons of room to run onto it. A nice shot from Janinis out wide. Eric Shaw with the goal for San Francisco.
San Francisco puts another one on the board and is able to get that D-line out there.
And
nice.
For the sake of a good game, we'd like to see their D get a break. Just one. Maybe just one.
Just all you want for Christmas. One D break.
You know, I'm feeling for San Francisco here. And they'll pull it from half field, try to take every advantage they can. Both teams able to use timeouts instead of as timeouts to pull it from half field after scoring. And looking to add to the pressure that they'll need to be putting on defense here, San Francisco.
And you have seen a shift in the whole league as this rule has changed that allows you to use a timeout to instead be a half-court pull, that people don't tend to take timeouts traditionally anymore. Almost all of them are used for the half-field pulls. It's just such an advantage to be able to put that blade in the back of the end zone, and it can really be a momentum shifter when you get a break.
Certainly challenging to advance the disc out of your own end zone when you have to start at the back of the end zone and the defense is there with pressure. That pull goes out of bounds. Another missed opportunity for the advantage of the half-field pull. Don't quite understand why so many of those pulls go out of bounds, but there's some things I'll never understand.
Many. There's Clay Dewey-Valentine taking it at the brick mark with a vertical, nice tight stack, probably a set play once again, ends third from the back.
McKibben gets open on the break side from the front. Hauser takes off deep, but some good poaching there from another downfield defender. The D team working hard from San Francisco. Not very hard on Hauser, though, who's wide open. Gets a lot of time to see a wide open Peter Ostergaard. Downfield, Tito Ostergaard tries to get a read on it, gets tied up with McKibben, and they can't hang on. And San Francisco will get it back. Not great execution there by Seattle.
San Francisco doing a good job trying to do their switches, but their switches are a little slow, a little lackluster, and so that's what is ending up with people like Ostergaard and Hauser just wide open.
Wow, that was a little tight window. The D team here of San Francisco hasn't gotten a lot of look at it, having the disc, and there Thomas Pineda getting a little wide-eyed, and his throw blades into the turf and out of bounds. Seattle's offensive team will get it back. We've seen very few opportunities for the San Francisco D team to break. That was one of them, and they gave it away.
Very few opportunities and a much slower game, which I think is indicative of more turnovers per point in the second half. We are almost 7 minutes into this half, and we've only had 5 points scored, which is unlike the others so far. Much slower pace right now.
One of these quarters is not like the others. McKibben continuing the breaks to Tridiak, who launches a hammer to an open Hauser. Hammer to Hauser. Hammer to Hauser for the goal.
That's a point.
Tridiak not shy with the hammer.
One fun thing to see from some of these players is you forget when you see them just throw backhand, forehand, that there are so many other throws they have. You saw a poor decision push pass from Shanka earlier in the game. You see a hammer here. You'll see blades every now and then. But it can be nice to realize that these players have the throws that you might see somebody showing off at the beach with. They just don't use them unless they have to or unless they think this one is a real easy winner.
Fundamentals go a long way, forehands and backhands. But right there, Brad Hauser wide open. And Tridiak with a very nice hammer throw for the goal. Of course, you want your cutters getting open enough where all you have to send are easy forehands and backhands. Khalif El Salam winds up a nice long pull for the Rainmakers. Coming down, that's a great pull. All the way down, putting them deep in their own end zone. Shanka, the goal line of their end zone there. Back to Young, who caught the pull. Moves it upfield. That's Hubbard. A little slow to start. Haven't seen any real plays by San Francisco to initiate their offense. Often running through their handlers until they can find an open cutter. So often it's Naruo. Naruo trying to get open on El Salam. Good D there. And now Shanka puts it out too far in front of Naruo, who had slowed down. And Khalif El Salam right to Fan. And back to Salam, who bobbles it. But Beener, it's a bobble to Ben Beener. And the team retains possession in the goal. Fan striking shot with the flick to El Salam. El Salam bobbles it, can't hang on, but Ben Beener playing catcher right behind him for the goal.
The question there, do you do that again, and who gets the assist? I mean, Beener gets the goal, but Fan threw it. El Salam last to touch it. Either way, put it on the board. Rainmakers 21, Dogfish 7, as they put another break on the board.
I'm no statistician, but that was exciting.
Nice work there from the offense, from the Seattle offense, which was a D, got the turn, became O. And a really great job as defenders with a huge pull that goes into the end zone, and they trap the Dogfish in the end zone. Dogfish maybe 4 or 5 throws back and forth in their own end zone. The one time they try to get it out, it's a turnover.
Again, good pressure there from the Rainmakers. Let's see if they can bring it again on the downfield cutters, forcing throws back and forth with the handlers, and we've seen the offense by San Francisco, a lot of unforced errors, so Seattle just fine letting them throw it back and forth on their handler set. Now working it upfield as Riggs sent a crossfield flick, chased by Klein, but caught by the intended receiver, Jacob Serrano. Nice quick score there from San Francisco.
Wide open as both teams really changing that rate of scoring. In the past minute and a half, there's been 3 points on the board as they're speeding up, and both offenses really starting to find their groove. The Dogfish put 3 points on the board this quarter, which is, better than they've been doing.
And I wonder if their second half success is actually fueled by their lack of success in most of their first halves, and if Seattle maybe pulling off of the gas pedal on D and allowing more scores, or if somehow San Francisco just really fires up at halftime.
You do see that in games quite a bit where suppose one team is higher ranking, is supposed to be better, and they're playing neck and neck with another team, that might fire that higher ranking team, that kind of better, more competitive team up. And in the second half, you really see a shutout where they say, hey, let's take this other team seriously. We underrated them. We're neck and neck. Let's drown them out. You might be seeing the opposite happen here as teams that are winning get complacent and start saying, look, we've already won this game. Who cares? And that might be leading to the second half success of San Francisco.
Clay Dewey Valentine winds up a big backhand. Isaac Entz chasing it, can't quite get there. Not floaty enough from Dewey Valentine. You don't see a lot of turnovers from him. He's very much a solid reset handler for Seattle. They are trying to get one up. And there, Janinis finds Rosen downfield for a nice yardage gainer for San Francisco. Into traffic, but Cloud comes out with it.
Chance for the first break for Vancouver.
Chasing it down is Cloud. Alex Cloud with the goal on the flick shot up the line for a break from San Francisco.
The first break from San Francisco. I almost said Vancouver there. Used to these two teams being the ones that end up on the bottom side of Seattle. But this, I got to remind myself, it's the first meeting of San Francisco and the Rainmakers. They will probably see each other again. Well, they're certainly going to in the schedule. They might see each other again in the postseason. And they want to make sure that they have some attitude coming at each other in the future.
And pulling from half field, San Francisco looking to sneak in another break perhaps with 1:25 remaining in the third period. Trailing by 12. Gabe Shanka looking to pull for the San Francisco D team. He's often an O player. They've got a couple of their traditional O players in here, Janinis and Shanka, doing a lot of the handler work, as is Shaw, who's also in here for San Francisco. They'll be looking to keep the pull in bounds from half field. We've seen about half of the half field poles landing in this game and half out of bounds.
I think that's a quarter of the poles, half the half field ones.
Half the half field.
Yep. Shonka with the disc, maybe putting Shonka and Janinas on defense, seeing that the Seattle team has been giving them the disc a bit more and making sure that there are some handlers in case the disc gets on the Dogfish side.
Well pulled by Shonka. Blady backhand sails out the back of the end zone. McKibben will pick it up in the corner of the end zone. Real challenging here with a little breeze. I would send somebody deep. No one's going deep. Flips in a little backhand shot, and Gustin can't get there. And the plan works for San Francisco.
Dogfish set for their second break in a row. If they can just put it in 1 nanomillimeter.
Shaw, high backhand finds Young. Quick break for San Francisco. That's 2 in a row, and they're only 2 of the game. The D team firing themselves up here. A little over a minute remaining in the third period of play. They'll try to get another break, won't they, Jake?
Oh, they will. Rainmakers up 11, which sounds bad. It is bad. But in this quarter, in this third quarter, 5-5. It's those games to 3 you were talking about. Just win the next game to 3. Don't worry about the over-under. Don't worry about the deficit. Don't worry about the lead. Just win the next points.
We'll see if they can capitalize on their momentum here. San Francisco pulling it again with just over a minute remaining. And this is new territory this game for Seattle's O team, who had not been broken at all until 2 points ago. And these last 2 points have been breaks. A well-utilized half-field pull there, really pressuring Seattle in the back of their own end zone. And Seattle a bit frantic, not sending anyone deep as a bailout for yards.
And a little surprising to me, they have changed some of the roster for this new defense, even though they've just pulled out 2 breaks in a row. I don't know why you'd trade anybody out. Keep Janinas in. Keep Shonka in. It was working. Don't change it.
Janinas actually pulling it there. He does remain. Tridiak now. Khalif El-Salam turns the corner. Double covered. And there we see Devin Williams get the first hand on it. Devin Williams swatting it downfield.
With a little help from Serrano, it looks like.
Williams and Serrano closing in nicely on El-Salam. The refs want to talk about it.
Very nice work by Serrano, by the way, there. El-Salam, very tough to guard. They put Devin Williams on him, thinking, here's our best shot. And Serrano saw that throw going up, and they came over and sandwiched El-Salam, making it very hard to really get a full vertical. You got a person in front, a person behind, and it works. Disc is now in San Francisco's hands.
And the refs just making sure there was an additional 10 seconds on the clock there. Good eyes by the ref, making sure clock is accurate here. Crossfield, Khalif El-Salam wants it back. Bids at it, goes for the Callahan, makes contact. Nice bid on Serrano.
Oh, Leaf wanted that bad.
And it was ripe for the picking. Sketchy swing shot from San Francisco to Serrano. Serrano now with the disc after the foul. Khalif El-Salam hungry for it. And there's Serrano, the inside-out flick, turfs.
I think that was a late stall count, really looking at the first people downfield, the second people backfield, and just had to put it somewhere.
Gussin sends one up to McKibben. McKibben threw some pressure from Janinas, and there's El-Salam, who catches it and lets it go right in front of the ref. A little sassy play by El-Salam as he scores.
I was worried ref Tash right in the corner there was going to call that down. It was pretty clear, I think, that Salam had control before he dropped it on the cone. But Tash could have been in a bad mood and been unsure of possession. Instead, it's another point. Rainmakers 22, Dogfish 10.
27 seconds remaining in the third period of play. The Rainmakers will pull. The Dogfish looking to get another point in here. Try to stay even in this third period of play. See if they can get an advantage in the final fourth quarter.
Getting their second legs. A little afternoon tea maybe. Get some of that Skippy peanut butter.
Tell me about Skippy peanut butter. What's that about?
Well, Skippy is the official peanut butter of the Seattle Rainmakers, Dave. It's made with the funnest peanuts ever. Skippy. Yippee.
That's nuts. Jason Edelman with the disc for San Francisco finds an open Shonka. Shonka surveying the field. 15 seconds remaining in the third period. Blady flick That was too easily D'd there by Dylan Harrington. Shanka, another turnover. Neely with the disc.
9 seconds remaining on the clock.
Fan probably going to launch one here to the end zone. Nope. Lets it go. Nobody gets hurt here. Probably a wise choice. Didn't have an option in the end zone and holsters it to close out the third period of play. Rainmakers lead 22 to the San Francisco's Dogfish's 10.
Dogfishes, that's right, I think.
Yeah.
Dogfish 10, but a good showing that third quarter where they got half of their points and all 2 of their breaks. So, Dogfish coming out, hands high, looking pretty excited right now. And Rainmakers all over the place, lots of people just walking off, maybe not thinking about this game anymore. As they've got 3 minutes before that final quarter. Up 12 points, more than doubling Dogfish score. Both teams owe their designs and uniforms to Canterbury. Canterbury is proud to power your game as the official apparel sponsor for Major League Ultimate. Visit www.canterburyus.com today, the destination for your team's custom uniforms. Canterbury, committed to the game. Also brought to you by U.S. Coachways. If you have a team trip or corporate outing coming up, if so, charter a private bus, minibus, or party bus from busrental.com, a U.S. Coachways company. Bus travel is one of the safest, greenest, and most affordable ways to get your group to an event, so if you're going with a group, trust busrental.com. Enter coupon code MLUBUS and get additional savings and VIP treatment.
I'm guessing San Francisco will not be going with the party bus on the way back here.
They could use a party bus right now.
Yeah.
They could use a party bus, a little bit of energy. As you see, hands on shoulders, they're grouping a huddle and giving a little talk. I see Gabe Shanka, played with the team for many years here, giving a little pep talk and lots of nodding heads with them. Who knows what they're talking about this game, last game, the weekend, the future. But you see people nodding in agreement that maybe we got something here. We got 5 points, we got 2 breaks, we had a good quarter.
San Francisco looking to improve quarter after quarter, but relatively low numbers for them on the scoring.
They have improved quarter after quarter. If these rates continue, Dave, I think they'll score something like 10 next quarter with 11 breaks.
Hard to score 10 with 11 breaks. I'm no mathematician, but that sounds like one hard thing to do.
As you see, Seattle Rainmakers just chit-chatting, not really as a team, just on their own. Nobody's even throwing, a couple people stretching. But it seems like they have gotten the mentality at this point of a league game just for fun on the side. I'm not sure they have the mentality of this is a pro game and we are playing San Francisco.
Well, they are certainly outplaying San Francisco here. 22-10, dominating here at home at Renton Memorial Stadium, adjacent to Boeing's Renton facility. Airplanes in the background of the shot here. Yeah, looking to take off, and Seattle taking off early against San Francisco today and keeping their lead through that third quarter.
Once again, Dogfish, third quarter team. But the third quarter team, that fourth quarter team, it's just not enough. That counts when you're neck and neck in the first half and you know that one team can really save their legs, has a very deep roster maybe, and can really outpace their opponent late in the game. But it doesn't count when you're a second half team and you find yourself in an 11-point deficit at the half.
12-point deficit here coming into the fourth period of play. San Francisco Dogfish so far on the underbelly of this matchup against Seattle's Rainmakers. The Rainmakers will pull and start on defense here in the fourth quarter.
The wind has picked up a little bit. I say a little bit because it's not really blowing hard, but if anything, it's blowing a little to the right and certainly away from the camera.
We've seen some pulls sail out the far side of the field, and we've seen some swing passes sail over the heads of their intended receivers.
You see that wind's going to get under that disc, pick it up, and shoot it out of bounds that far sideline.
So San Francisco will take it at the brick mark to start this fourth period of play as they start on offense. Edelman swings it over. Janinis surveying the field. Wow.
Ooh.
Nice grab there by Naruo, closely guarded by Klein. Good movement across the field there for San Francisco. Finding the open Ben Hubbard coming back. Ben Hubbard winds up. A lot of field space. Chasing and diving, but not quite getting there is Eric Shaw, who couldn't quite get a hand on it. Good look by Ben Hubbard. Shaw had space, just didn't quite have that top speed to close the gap at the end.
Lots of space. That throw had to be a bit of a laser to go into the wind. And Shaw just within inches, but can't quite pull it up as the disc ends up back in Seattle hands.
Now in the hands of Evan Klein. Finds an open Dylan Harrington, who has to dig for it, but does. Maintains possession. Klein now sees two open guys deep. Henry Fan, the closer of the two, brings in the goal for Seattle.
And Seattle starts this quarter like they've started every single quarter, with a break.
Nice movement there. Following the turn, recognizing the double teams deep, hitting the open guy under, and then sending two open cutters deep. Henry Fan was followed closely by Cam Bailey, who wisely did not go for it and let Fan bring it in. A nice shot there by Klein. Klein, traditionally a receiver for the Rainmakers D squad, showing a little bit more behind the disc. A few throws going up for Klein today.
Yeah, doing well there. One thing we haven't seen for either team, which I often see when two teams face each other for the first time, is they haven't felt out the other team's roster as well. They don't quite know the top speeds of everyone, so people can be mismatched. And in long throws like that, you find some defender or some offender really makes distance as the other team thinks, oh, we got to switch personnel, have someone else guard this player. He's really fast. But here you see people in front tend to stay in front, and there's nobody closing the gap.
San Francisco looking to close the gap on the score, down 13. 9:04 remaining in the fourth period of play. Initiating their offense with a drop. That's Goldstein not hanging on there, and they've just had a brutal amount of unforced errors and turnovers here today. Fan finds Rupp going upfield. Rupp to Sleva, Sleva to Fan. Very spread offense here. Fan wisely just hitting the first open guy, coming under. Sleva moves it over to Harrington. Harrington to Jesperson. A lot of players getting a touch here for Seattle. Fan inside out flick. Finds Sleva. End zone. Harrington wide open in front of him saying, hey, I'm here. I'm open. Why aren't you throwing it? Sleva does. Gabe Shonka well off his man. Dylan Harrington open in the end zone for another Rainmakers break.
Rainmakers break again. Gabe Shonka there, who is one of these players who, he gets a lot of stats, but he also does some kind of surprising things, which can make him very effective, but can also make him off his man. He expected a switch. He went for a poach. He does some surprising things that gets him on the leaderboard, but can also end up with easy breaks like that.
Does a lot of good stuff, but also a fair number of turnovers as well. Certainly an impact player for better and worse for San Francisco is Gabe Shonka.
That's right, and then we have folks like Henry Fan. Henry Fan, also an impact player, maybe Clay Dewey Valentine, a better example of one of these folks who stays off the stat sheet so much by just being a very, very consistent player. Lots of catches, lots of throws, but a lot of them are just across the field, move the disc, very consistent, almost no unforced errors from either of those two.
Gavin McKibben set to pull from half field here for the Rainmakers. Blady backhand. Well captured there by Serrano. Disc moves across all the handlers to the far sideline.
Nobody on Serrano, who is deep, but nobody's looking at him, and he comes back under into the zone.
Naruo thinks about a long shot, opts against, finds Petru. Petru swings over to the long handler arms of Eric Shaw. Centers now. Petru back to Shaw. Now downfield, Andrew Riggs. Riggs upfield. That's a nice cut there by Serrano. Cross field. Some good defense here, forcing Serrano. High backhand. Cam Bailey got to look at that, but it finds Riggs. Jesperson with a piece of Nick Petru's pass and pushes it down to the pellets of the turf.
Very good there, Dave.
Yeah.
Solid.
I am illiterate. I'm sorry. I'm good at alliterations.
Better. Very good heads up. Usually when you see a hand block, it is somebody right on the disc, and it hits it as soon as it comes out of the throw's hands. That one, Jesperson stabbed from about 5 feet back.
Wow. Crazy throw by Rupp. A weird snap, high release flick. Klein sends a hammer to El Salam. By hook and by crook, Seattle Rainmakers score. Nice shot there. El Salam with another catch and release in the end zone.
This is getting a little goofy there. You saw the crazy stab hand block by Jesperson. Then you saw an attempt at high release flick, which also got a piece from Serrano, but was still caught. Then a hammer. Nobody's just throwing it normal throws anymore.
A little bit circusy there, and a pretty hilarious celebration by Seattle.
Kids these days, as you have some kids up front yelling for some T-shirts being shot out to the audience, as folks in the stands enjoying their hometown and watching El Salam walk up to half court with the disc for a half field pull. 7 minutes left in the game. Rainmakers up 25 to Dogfish's 10. Dogfish still looking to get a point this last quarter.
That is a big old blowout. San Francisco will try to scrape back some sense of civility here. It's getting uncivil in terms of this scoring. Sportsmanship high, but the point spread just about as high. Gabe Shanka centers now. There's Young. So often we've seen San Francisco just running it through their handlers, not a very strong downfield offensive team. And too often we've seen their handlers making mistakes that have led to turnovers. They're a nice little gainer on the far side. McKeag with it. Back through Edelman to Janinis.
Dogfish making lots and lots of throws, but really stuck with the handlers. Almost no yardage gain here.
There's some cutters. Nice bid.
Lockhart almost comes up with it.
Lockhart, and now a crazy swing. Janinis brings it in. We've seen that result in a turnover before.
Dogfish fighting just to hold on to the disc for some passes with no yardage gain.
There, a fake proving effective. A little poachy off the handlers, and a little fake gets an open yardage gainer. Edelman, lefty backhand upfield. Easily chased down and caught by Goldstein. Hangs on to this one. A drop this quarter. A lot of unforced errors for San Francisco. Let's see if they can punch it in. Centers to Janinis. Janinis fakes back and forth. Nice throw out to space. Finds an open Nate Young. Young with the goal. Good patience and a throw out to space there by San Francisco.
Dogfish looked much better moving the disc upfield than they did when they had the disc backfield. Just got to get those downfield cutters engaged.
Good pressure by Seattle, forcing San Francisco to run through their handler set. But I would like to see more aggressive cutting and more coordinated cutting by San Francisco's downfielders.
But nice aggression by the handler defenders for the Rainmakers, who were also running through the handler set. As you saw Lockhart dive through, you saw some more contested throws. El Salam a little disappointed he wasn't able to come down with one. But finally, San Francisco breaks it open, gets it to downfield defenders, and finds the end zone.
Jacob Serrano set to pull here for San Francisco, their D team. not seeing nearly as many points as their offensive squad. And will try to get another break. They did sneak out a couple breaks in the third quarter, 0 in the first half. Serrano's pull lands in bounds. Tridiak centers to Dewey Valentine out of the vert stack. Isaac Entz turns the corner, heads deep. Play Dewey Valentine. Warning track power leaves him shy of the end zone. Entz high backhand to Steve Gusson, who again in the same spot jumps into the end zone. We've seen that before from Entz to Gusson. Gusson, focused on the footwork, finds his feet in the end zone.
There is something that's worth noting when you get the Seattle offense to play offense, because so many times you're seeing disc in Seattle hands. That's their defensive line playing offense. Here you see their offensive line playing offense. And what did they score in about 15 seconds?
Real nice play. Tridiak centers to Dewey Valentine. Clearly scripted play. Isaac Entz come in off the back. Big receiver is Entz. Entz turns the corner, gets a step going deep. Clay Dewey Valentine able to put it to him. And Entz gets an assist there.
And you have Andrew Takahashi riling up the crowd as they're yelling and throwing streamers in the air. Lots of fun out here in Renton Memorial as the pull goes up with 5:24 left in the game.
San Francisco side stack. Wide open. Colby Chuck. Chuck sends one. And Chuck finds David Janinis in the end zone. Nice throw by Chuck. Janinis open deep. That's one of the very first hucks effective for San Francisco that we've seen. Certainly one of the very few, if not the first, huck for a goal.
That was really a beautiful throw. If you're standing at the end zone, it looks like there's a big window, but that window looks a lot smaller when you're 70 yards away. Giant throw, and Jesperson not able to get there at all. Just too well put.
When your name is Chuck, you chuck it.
That's why they named him Chuck. His parents knew. They knew from an early age.
It's like botanists with the name Gardner.
It's just like that.
Similar to that.
Yeah.
5:10 remaining here in the game. 26-12. Seattle Rainmakers lead the San Francisco Dogfish. Dogfish, the nice score there, getting their D team back on the line. And looking to save face with a nice quarter here to close out what is otherwise a lopsided game in favor of Seattle.
Half has been kind to Vancouver and to the Dogfish, which indicates maybe you're right. The second half is kind to teams who don't do well in the first half.
Khalif El-Salam gets the swing, lofts up a hammer to Blady. Tridiak, traditionally a handler, took off the play there. Tridiak heading deep. El-Salam, little wide eyes, launches a hammer.
If I didn't see that with my own eyes and you said El-Salam hammer to Tridiak, I'd say you had that mixed up.
Brad Hauser gets a read on that short flick. Attempting a long flick there as San Francisco, but came up short, and Hauser got it. And now Seattle's O team gets it back following El-Salam's turnover. Dewey Valentine. Nice swing to McKibben. McKibben out to El-Salam. This time El-Salam with a backhand to Hauser. Goal, Seattle. Nice shot from El-Salam to Brad Hauser for the goal.
That brings the Rainmakers up to 5 points this quarter, which is, so far every quarter they've scored at least 5. The Dogfish, their best quarter, they scored 5. Their first half, they scored 5. Dogfish, just 12 on the board. Rainmakers, 27, 4 minutes, and some change left in the game.
Nice shot there by El-Salam through that Blady hammer into the turf earlier that same point. Brad Hauser got the D back on basically a giveaway. San Francisco coming up short on their huck attempt. And Hauser getting bookends there, scoring the goal on an easy backhand from El-Salam. And you can see once that break shot goes up, it was a nice inside-out flick from McKibben to El-Salam. And it's so deadly when you can get that inside-out break, especially because it comes so quickly, so hard to recover on defense. And Seattle's defense looking to put the pressure on here. Colby Chuck threw that nice goal last time. Swings it over. Giannis with it now. Finds Serrano. Serrano, crazy scuba, finds Ben Hubbard. Swings it to Shaw. Shaw, inside out backhand, looking for Serrano. Serrano chases Breen, closing in on him, but a nicely put backhand out to space. Jacob Serrano with the goal for San Francisco. Well done by San Francisco's offense.
You know, just 30 seconds ago, I was thinking Rainmakers have 27. A good finish for them, they'd end up with 31 points. That would be real successful. For the Dogfish, had 12. I was thinking if they end up with 15, they should be happy. And right now, 13. I still think over-under Dogfish should be hitting 15, Rainmakers 30. Anything better than that, and they ought to be proud.
Well, we'll see if we can complete 5 points in the next 3 minutes and 51 seconds. With the Dogfish set to pull. Their D team still hungry for a break. They have not gotten one in this fourth quarter. Is that right?
Nope, none in the fourth quarter. 3 points, but all of them coming on offense, which is still the offense this quarter has scored 3 and been broken 3 times. Not a good stat for most teams, but for them, I think they'll take it right now.
Finding some salvation here. Tridiak centers to Dewey Valentine. A little tight vertical stack. McKibben, a little shimmy shake off the front. Can't actually shake himself open. Clay Dewey Valentine trying to find a window on Tridiak, but actually throws it into the arm of Alexander Morris. Morris, the unintentional D there. And they strike. Dewey Valentine wanted to get in there, but Devin Williams, great diving catch for the Dogfish break. Dewey Valentine slow to get up. Devin Williams goes to make sure he's okay. Nice classy play there by Devin Williams, who comes up with an outstanding grab in the corner of the end zone.
We've seen Williams bid usually on defense, and usually this game not coming up with it, but there you saw a bid with some success. Also, a little shout-out to Nate Young, who I think really got that D started. When McKibben came out of the stack as the called ISO, Nate Young really shut him down. He had about 6 seconds to get open and just was unable to shake Nate. Nate was actually so fired up on defense that after the turnover, he was still playing D for another 3-4 seconds, just so intent on, I am not letting my guy get it.
And he did a good job of that. McKibben, clearly the play called for him off the front, looking to get a break mark cut, but kind of stutter step because Young so effectively guarding him. And now San Francisco will pull from half field. Gabe Shanka talks his teammate into giving him the disc to pull. Let's see if he can pull it in bounds.
Good work here by the Dogfish. 14 within one of the arbitrarily chosen goal score of 15. Rainmakers being held steady at 27.
They can't be too disappointed with that.
I do realize saying you're held steady at 27 in a game is, that's a successful game.
Yeah, they're not being held that steady. Pull here by Shanka, stopped by McKibben. Out to Tridiak as the defensive pressure comes in. A little zone. Tridiak launches one to an open Hauser deep. Shanka's not going to get there. Hauser wide open, has options for next receivers. Puts a nice one out to Entz. Entz diving catch, can't hang on. Tried to get a pancake two-handed catch in there. And now San Francisco with numbers downfield looking to counterattack. Gabe Shanka fighting through the pressure from Entz. Shanka moves it over to Ranahan. Good movement here by San Francisco. There's an open player deep. Gavin McKibben tries to chase it down. Early jump by Nick Fisk. Tries to get the second attempt and can't. Gavin McKibben will restart things for the Rainmakers.
Couldn't quite see it, but it looked like Fisk could have gave a second attempt bid and picked that up, brought it to 15, fired up the Dogfish, but instead McKibben with the disc trying to get it out of the end zone.
Wow, and McKibben sends a little inside-out flick too low, and a quick strike. Jananis fires one into Fisk, who this time gets the goal. Quick turnover there by Seattle. Gives the Dogfish a second attempt. They take advantage of it and reach the goal that you gave to them, Jake, of 15 points this quarter. Not to reach 15 this quarter.
Yeah. Dogfish, by the way, identical to the prior quarter. 3 points where their offense just played offense and put it in. And then 2 in a row of the D getting breaks. This is great for the Dogfish. Too late but great.
Great and too late. The Dogfish needing to fire up their first half play. This game, like a great majority of their games this season, all but one game, far outscoring themselves in their second half. Their first half really struggling against their opponents.
Oh, first half 16-5 Rainmakers. Second half it's 11-10 Rainmakers. It's almost a tie game.
First half, of course, does count. And the Rainmakers are going to leave with a win here today. 2:33 remaining as they lead by 12. Rupp centers to Fan. Deep stack already. Not a lot of deep options there because the cutters are too deep. El Salam coming back in off the back. Neely looking at a El Salam deep cut. And their team likes those cuts. El Salam really loves to score. This time with a nice inside-out shot. Hangs on the wind a little too much. Devin Williams on the back of Robin Breen. Robin Breen fighting through for the goal. Nice play through pressure by Robin Breen.
Great body for Robin Breen, both personally, and great job blocking Williams so that Williams trying to get the disc but just can't jump without drawing a foul. At the end, finally jumps just because otherwise Breen's going to catch it right there. Goes up, and by that point, it's in Breen's hands. Good work keeping his shoulders out, elbows out, and making sure Williams didn't have access to the disc.
Good position there by Breen. Nice attempt by Williams, but Breen doing a great job of taking advantage of position there. El Salam putting that inside-out flick, just hung a little bit in the wind, giving Williams a chance. But Breen stayed focused, got the goal, and won.
28-15, Rainmakers, 2:10 left. Rainmakers need 2 points to hit 30, which I'd just like to see. As they're going to try to get one of those on a break with El Salam pulling from half field.
A little bit of wind. You saw the last point. It caught the wind a little bit. This Blady backhand pull lands in and stopped and by Edelman. A little hammer across. A lot of players wide. Now they're finding their downfield cutters as Petru gets open. Petru says too deep. To his deepest cutter is Hubbard. Hubbard comes back in off the back. El Salam tries to get there, but Shaw hangs on. Wow. Closely guarded by Klein was Hubbard. Hubbard now upfield to Goldstein. Goldstein fakes and then fires to Nick Petru. Nick Petru getting open on the side of the end zone there. Nice play by the Dogfish.
Dogfish hit 16. I do like seeing the Rainmakers bidding as El Salam tried to get one on the far sideline, followed by, I think it was Klein, who could have left his feet but still bid. What we didn't see was other defenders picking up, playing team defense. When somebody bids, they're often out of position for, 4 or 5 seconds. And during that time, you need the rest of the team to heads up, shift their defense, and let that person come back into the team defense, not just try to trail their guy and catch up to their one guy who's 30 yards away at that point.
Seattle not doing a terrible job of that point, but the Dogfish doing a great job of capitalizing on those bids, being out of position and really pushing the momentum throw after throw until they score there. 16 for the Dogfish to the Rainmakers 28 with 1:35 remaining in the game.
That is a reason you love seeing bids because people are trying, they're chomping to get the disc. You don't want to see gratuitous bids because it too often leaves you out of position.
Offense here for the Rainmakers. Vertical stack, slow to start. McKibben waiting for something to happen. Hauser comes off the back. Well guarded there by Rosen, but Hauser hangs on, finds Tridiak. Out to Gusson. Hauser takes off. Gusson just looking to reset. Wow. Little tumble there. Tridiak and Morris got tied up. Now McKibben puts one out in front to the long arms of Isaac Entz, and not even Devin Williams can bid on that one. Isaac Entz with the goal and the dunk.
Nice work by Entz, not cutting deep until the throw went up. You have so little space in the end zone at that point. He's already in the end zone when the disc hits the thrower's hands that he's just going to wait, hips showing, hey, I know if you throw it deep, I'm ready to run. I just can't cut there yet because if I do, by the time I get to the disc, I'll be out of bounds.
Continuation cut timing such an effective tool for a good downfield cutter like Entz. Entz, such a big target, has learned over the years how to time his cuts so that he's not just sitting out there deep but is able to run onto it. And we've seen Devin Williams bid on so many throws in the end zone this game. That one so far out in front, he's not even able to get an attempt there. Well done. Nice shot by McKibben. Nice run by Entz. And
29, within one of the dream score of 30. Dogfish already surpassing their 15 with 16 and about to receive the disc. See if they can put another in.
Jake Cooper available to make arbitrary goals for any of your games, league or professional play, and then hold you to them. Here the Dogfish send the disc to Edelman. Everybody runs downfield and stands in a horizontal line. Not a great offense, but they're able to move the disc effectively upfield. This Cloud gets it, looks to reset before he even looks downfield. Now finds Janinis with a floaty one, and Janinis misreads it, allowing Neely to come in and steal it. 45 seconds remain. Henry Fan has the disc. Jesperson wide open. Jesperson gets it, swings it in the middle to Neely. Another floaty one from the Dogfish leading to a turnover. Cam Bailey on his knees gets that one in the middle from Neely. Little flip out to Fan, who was already looking at his throw before he caught it, bobbled it, but found his focus again and found the disc. Step around backhand out to Beener. Beener to Neely, but right behind him, Neely hesitates and drops it.
15 seconds left in the game.
Janinis with it, sending it upfield to Serrano. They'll look to get one last goal if they can. I don't know why he holstered that one, has players upfield, but dumps it to Janinis, who launches one. And we'll see if anyone can come down with it as the clock ticks down. No time left on the clock. And that will finish things here in Renton Memorial Stadium as the Seattle Rainmakers close this one out at home, 29 to the visiting San Francisco Dogfish's 16. For Jake Cooper, I'm Dave Bestock. Thanks so much for tuning in. We'll see you next time.